ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهدي الله فهو المهتدي ومن يضلل فلا هادي له أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها كل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. And we, as I promised tonight, inshallah, we'll talk about Ramadan and we'll talk about some reminders of how to receive this month. كما كانوا يقولون ابن أبي كثير كان يقول اللهم سلمنا رمضان وسلم رمضان لنا وتسلمه منا متقبلا. Oh Allah, help us receive Ramadan and give us the tawfiq to receive Ramadan and make Ramadan receive us and then receive it from us, accept it. Receive it from us, accept it. And this is how they used to think of Ramadan. As I was saying, they used to become one. They want to become one with Ramadan. Ramadan, yes, it's the name of a person and it's the name of the month, but they wanted to become, excuse me. You said that. Sit against the wall. And you said it. Good. As they used to say, they wanted to become one with the month of Ramadan. Don't sit facing the wall. Against the wall. Put your back like your grandfather. Good, so you can listen. Alright? The point is, they wanted to become one with the month of Ramadan. They wanted to feel the month. They want to live it. And that is where we really need to make a distinction between the previous Ramadans that we've been living and this coming Ramadan. And if you look in the history, and some of these points, some of you have heard, but a lot of the rest, or most of the people here, haven't heard it. So it's very important to mention it. I don't even know if I gave a khutbah here, but did I? The things that became obligatory in Ramadan, before Ramadan, the second year of the Hijrah. Did I talk about that here? Huh?
Maybe it was in other masajid.
Huh?
It was in other masajid.
Other masajid? Okay. Hi. Just very quick review. Maybe we have a test at the end. Pop quiz. I used to hate those in the masjid. So in the second year of the Hijrah, after the Prophet ﷺ migrated from Mecca to Medina, right in Sha'ban, in the few months before Ramadan, four major events took place in the history of Islam. Four major events took place. And one of those was the obligation of Ramadan. The obligation of Ramadan. But there is very important connection between Ramadan and the other three things. And one of the other things was the obligation of fighting the disbelievers, of fighting the enemies of Islam. Because as you know, when the Muslims, the first period, the Da'wah al-Makkiyah, when they were in Mecca, 13 years, they weren't allowed to fight. They weren't allowed to fight in the first 13 years, even though they were oppressed and all that. It was a time of preparation, time of purification, tazkiyah and tarbiyah. And then the first year after Hijrah, they were also not allowed to fight, even though a lot of them were asking, and some of the hypocrites wanted to fight. And then when the ayat were revealed regarding fighting, a lot backed up. يعني Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described them, and he tells his messenger, you see the fear in their eyes as if death has come to them. قد يعلم الله المعوقين منكم والقائلين لإخوانهم هلم إلينا ولا يأتون البأس إلا قليل. يعني some wanted to always fight, we are oppressed, we're this, we're that, and the ayat and the history repeats itself. Repeats itself. That's why the Prophet ﷺ said, لا تتمنوا لقاء العدو. Do not wish to fight the enemies, to face the enemies, because you really don't know at these times who's willing to stand up and who's willing to be strong and who's gonna ينقلب على عقبيه, who's gonna ينقلب القهقرة, who's gonna turn around and flee and run away. So don't wish, and you just work on preparing yourself and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala thabat, and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep you firm and keep you strong on His path subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the fighting became obligatory as well in the second year of the Hijrah, after Hijrah. And also the third major event, now when we talk about fasting became obligatory, Ashura, the 10th day of Muharram, was also an obligation to fast. As you all know, when the Prophet ﷺ came first to Medina and he found the Jews fasting that day, and he asked, they said this is the day when Allah saved Musa from Fir'aun. So he decided ﷺ to fast it. قال أنا أولى منكم or منهم بموسى. We are more worthy of Musa than the Jews. So he fasted, and it was obligatory to fast the Ashura on the Muslims, on the Sahaba, the first 2 years of the Hijrah until Ramadan became obligatory, and then fasting Ashura became sunnah, became يعني فقط مستحب, recommended, you're not obligated to fast. So that's Ramadan, and that is fighting. And then the zakah. The zakah also became obligatory in the second year. See, major events يعني, taking place right in the second year, and major obligations, all with Ramadan. The zakah became also obligatory in the second year, even though in Mecca it was an obligation to give, but there were no specifics of the zakah, the issues of the nisab and the percentage and how much to give and who receives it, you understand? But became obligatory when all these details came down in the second year of after Hijrah. And the fourth major event that took place in second year of the Hijrah, along with Ramadan and Qital, Jihad and Zakah, was the change of the Qibla. The change of the Qibla from Bayt al-Maqdis to Mecca, from Bayt al-Maqdis, Jerusalem, which is the Qibla for the Jews and the Christians, as well as the Muslims for a few months. Then it was changed to Mecca, Haram al-Makki, Kaaba, شرفها Allah, and رزقنا زيارتها. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep it safe, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us the opportunity to visit. So you can see these four major events. These four major events preceded a big event in the history of Islam. Okay? They preceded a major event in the history of Islam, and that is Ghazwat Badr al-Kubra. Ghazwat Badr al-Kubra took place in the second year of Al-Hijrah. Actually, it took exactly on the 17th day of which month? Of Ramadan. Of Ramadan. Okay? Of Ramadan. So that is to tell you, these four major changes and major obligations were preparation for this day. Ghazwat Badr. Ghazwat Badr is the day that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَيَوْمَ الْفُرْقَانِ, or call it Yawm al-Furqan. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala calls that day the day of al-Furqan. The day when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala distinguished between al-Haqq and al-Batil, between the truth and the falsehood. Such day, which was perhaps a major event in the history of Islam, in the history of making an ummah, of making a nation, that has to become not any nation, as we always say. We say that building a nation and building an ummah is really something that takes too much effort and too much sacrifice. Okay? Just to build a house, it takes too much sacrifice. So imagine if you're building an ummah. طيب, imagine you are building the best ummah. Okay, so imagine the burden that and the qualities that that the people who are building this ummah have to have. It's it's amazing, and God to have very dedicated and very sincere and very or people with very strong determination and will to be able to make it through. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to purify them before that event. The event, the beginning of building a nation from that Ghazwat Badr al-Kubra, the Battle of Badr, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to purify those Sahaba. He wanted to have the group that's the pure, as they say, the bar of all. He wanted, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted with His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, a group of individuals who can take the trust, who can handle the trust, who can handle the responsibilities, who can carry this deen over their shoulders. So He had to test them. He had to show them their weaknesses. He had to show them subhanahu wa ta'ala where they are, where they stand, what they are willing to do, all that. So He had to see, are they willing to give from their money? Are they willing to give from their health? Are they going to give up food and drinks? Are they going to give from their pockets? Are they willing to listen to my orders? Because this is a major thing. To change the Qibla, for 18 months they used to pray to Bayt al-Maqdis. To change that to Mecca, that's a fitna. It was a big fitna in the hearts of a lot of people. And the ayat of Allah made that clear. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَكَذَلِكَ جَعَلْنَاكُمْ أُمَّةً وَسَطًا لِتَكُونُوا شُهَدَاءَ عَلَى النَّاسِ وَيَكُونَ الرَّسُولُ عَلَيْكُمْ شَهِيدًا. That is the ayat, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَا جَعَلْنَا الْقِبْلَةَ الَّتِي كُنْتَ عَلَيْهَا إِلَّا لِنَعْلَمَ مَنْ يَتَّبِعُ الرَّسُولَ مِمَّنْ يَنْقَلِبُ عَلَى عَقِبَيْهِ وَإِنْ كَانَتْ لَكَبِيرَةً إِلَّا عَلَى الَّذِينَ هَدَى اللَّهُ وَمَا كَانَ اللَّهُ لِيُضِيعَ إِيمَانَكُمْ يعني صَلَاتَكُمْ. Because it became a fitna, and what they were saying, the Jews saying, now they changed the Qibla. Look, they're playing with their religion. And now all those prayers that were prayed, and people started questioning, what's about those who died and before the change of the Qibla? Does that mean their salah wasn't accepted? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reveals this ayat, وَمَا كَانَ اللَّهُ لِيُضِيعَ إِيمَانَكُمْ. And Allah was not going to discredit your salah. Iman here, without ilm you translate, Allah will not waste your or discredit your faith. La, Iman here means salah. Iman means salah. And that is, as I always say, for the brothers and the sisters who want to seek knowledge and who want to learn, don't make your sheikh your book. Don't make the book that you read your sheikh. Because there are a lot of things that you might misunderstand and start building ahkam or making decisions and making judgments over people or of people, and you got it wrong. Yes, you read it right, but you did not understand what it means. So that is very important. For example, you read in Bukhari that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam didn't make sunnah in safar, okay, or tasbih. The word used tasbih. Didn't make tasbih in safar. So someone finishes the salah and travels. Someone who read that and then he travels with a group of people. Then he sees the one who's leading them in salah making tasbih. He comes to him, and this happened with some mashayikh. He comes to him and he said, no, you're committing bid'ah. Okay? You're committing bid'ah because the Prophet, you see in Bukhari, it says he did not make tasbih when he was traveling. Now, if you look at this, the meaning of tasbih was the sunnah, the salat al-nafilah. The Sahaba used to use this term for salat al-nafilah, tasbih. But he thought it tasbih is subhanallah walhamdulillah. That is how it is. So it's very important, as they said, من كان شيخه كتابه كان خطأه أكثر من صوابه. Whose sheikh is his book, his mistakes will be more than his correct, his wrongs will be more than his correct, if I can use the term. Okay? So it's very important to ask, and seeking knowledge was never through the books. Not to say don't read books, but always ask. Always ask when you come across something that you don't understand. Okay? So it's very important. Even if it looks like it's simple and he didn't make tasbih, what's the big deal? No. Okay? Very important to reflect. So the change of the Qibla was a major thing. And that is to see who's willing to abide, who's willing to respond. And if I'm going to tell them now, in 2 months, you're going to sacrifice your lives, I want to see, are they willing to listen to change the Qibla? And you will be amazed when this, there is a masjid in Medina called Masjid al-Qiblatayn, and those who went to Umrah or Hajj visited the masjid. That masjid has 2 Qiblas in it. Okay? And of course now the old Qibla is behind the people. Okay? So now because if you know maps and you know geography, you know Mecca is down there, and Bayt al-Maqdis is right here. So here you're standing, you're facing Mecca, northwest, and then the order comes to you from Medina to change and go south. So you're really turning around very much 180 degrees, okay? You're turning around. And that's why if you walk in the masjid, you walk in, when we walked, the brothers were looking for the second Qibla. Where's the second Qibla? They walk in, and the mihrab, actually this is not called mihrab, it's called taqa. The mihrab usually is a place where the person dedicates part of his house to pray. That place, that musalla, small musalla in your house, that is called mihrab. This is called taqa. Anyway, so they walk in and they say, the qibla, that the mihrab or the taqa, the minbar that people pray on. So they're looking, where's the other qibla? Where's the other qibla? Looking right and left. And actually the qibla is right behind it. But they have masked it. They have masked it. They put a wall on it. Because you know how people are. Okay? They might go and start tamassuh and tabarruk and all this crazy stuff. Okay? But this is major thing. So when this ayah was revealed, to change, فَوَلِّ وَجْهَكَ شَطْرَ الْمَسْجِدِ الْحَرَامِ, the Prophet ﷺ sent his messengers, the Sahaba, to go around tell the people the Qibla changed. So when they came to this masjid, when they were in ruku' and the man came while they're in salah, he said the ayat revealed the Qibla changed. So right away, they changed in their salah. They didn't wait until they were done to ask. They didn't say, oh, we're going to go ask the messenger before we change that. Khalas. The order came to them. The Prophet ﷺ said, change the Qibla from Quds, Bayt al-Maqdis to Mecca. And they changed. And that's to show you the obedience of the Sahaba for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The difference between them and us. قالوا سمعنا وأطعنا. The difference, that is a major difference between us, our attitude and their attitude. There is no difference between the Prophet ﷺ telling you the hadith and I'm telling you the hadith, or any other person telling you the hadith. There is no difference, should not be any difference. Not that I'm a prophet or the sheikh is a prophet. No. He's representing the Prophet ﷺ. If the hadith is authentic, you have to take it the way you're taking that, as if the Muhammad ﷺ is the one who is talking to you. That is how we can change, that's how we can reach the level that perhaps they reach. That's why when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu, la tuqaddimu bayna yaday Allah wa rasulih, O you who believe, do not put anything before Allah and His Messenger. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu, la tarfa'u aswatakum fawqa sawti al-nabi, O you who believe, do not raise your voice over the voice of the Prophet ﷺ. The ulama said this ayah applies to the Prophet ﷺ in his life as well as in his death. This ayah is applicable and an obligation upon the believers in the life of the Messenger ﷺ and after his death sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. In other words, when the word of Allah or the word of the Prophet ﷺ come to you, don't put anything on top of it. Don't put anything before it. Don't raise your voice over the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. That's why you find a lot of the ulama used to shiver and shake when they hear the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. Malik rahimahullah used to make wudu before he narrates the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. That is how much respect they had for the hadith of the Messenger ﷺ. They would travel miles and miles and miles for the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. And I told you before the story of شعبة شعبة بن الحجاج يعني أمير المؤمنين بالحديث أمير يعني he is one of the greatest علماء of الحديث of this ummah, and he was tough in the hadith of the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم. If I can recollect the story that he heard Ibn Nasr one time making narration. قال حدثني إسرائيل عن السبيعي عن عقبة بن عامر عن عبد الله عن عقبة بن عامر عن عبد الله بن عامر عن عبد الله بن عطاء عن عقبة بن عامر, that the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم said, whoever makes wudu like this wudu and says أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله فتحت له أبواب الجنة الثمانية. You know the hadith, it's famous. After you make wudu, if you say أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله, the 8 doors of paradise will be open for you. You enter wherever you want. Look, just that. Make wudu and say this. Okay? Give the shahad. So, Shu'bah ibn al-Hajjaj, rahimahullah, when he heard this man, Khalid ibn Nasr, reporting this hadith, he slapped him on his face. He was standing outside his door, he slapped him on the face. Okay? So Abdullah ibn Idris, who was another alim, who was with Shu'bah, he said, and he closed the door. Shu'bah shut down the door. Then he opened a few minutes later and he found Khalid ibn Nasr still crying. He smacked him in the face. So Abdullah ibn Idris tells him, so he tells Shu'bah, tells Abdullah, you see he's still crying. What's wrong with him? So Abdullah ibn Idris tells him, you slapped him, what do you think? That's why he's still crying. Okay? So he said, you don't understand, this hadith has a long story. So he told him, what is the story with this hadith? He said, now Israel is the son or is the grandson of Sabi'i. So he said, I heard Israel narrating this hadith. And Shu'bah from al-Basra. Okay, he lives in Basra in Iraq. Nas'al Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help our brothers and sisters in Iraq. He said, I went to Sabi'i and I asked him if he heard this hadith from Abdullah ibn Ata. So he stayed quiet. Okay, Sabi'i hada in the chain stayed quiet. And Sabi'i was known to be mudallis. إيش مدلس؟ يعني إن شاء الله planning to have a series of lectures. There's a book talks about علم الحديث called نخبة الفكر في مصطلح أهل الأثر لابن حجر. It's a great book. It's small book, يعني few pages that really break down the science of al-hadith. And I think every Muslim, not to say obligation, but I say every Muslim who really interested in knowing more about his deen should understand how these ahadith compiled and how they determine what's sahih and what's da'if and this and that. Yani it's a great book and it's umda in this field. Inshallah, yani we can have I would say maybe 12 to 15 sessions to go over it. We won't be deviating and going all over the place. So anyway, so in mudallis, someone who says something, not necessarily untrustworthy, but he would say something and he means something else. He will say something and you will understand from him something else. Okay? So for example, he will say, قال عبد الله بن عطاء. You will think he heard from Abdullah bin Atta. Okay? Because he's reporting a chain, he's reporting a hadith. So he will tell you عن عبد الله بن عطاء. عن يعني from Abdullah bin Atta. Okay? That Uqba ibn Amir told him. So you will think that Sabi'i heard from Abdullah bin Atta. But he didn't hear or didn't hear. Okay? But that is how what al-mudallis. Anyway, so Shu'bah wanted to make sure Sabi'i heard this hadith. So he goes to him, and he's in Basra. He said, did you hear this hadith from Abdullah bin Atta? So he tells him, he stays quiet. He stays quiet. So he starts pushing him, he stays quiet. Who's with the Shu'bah? Another one of the great ulama of al-hadith, Mis'ar ibn Kitab. He tells him, leave him alone. Yani you're embarrassing him. Well, if he's quiet, you know what the answer. And you want to know, so go to Abdullah ibn Atta. He's in Mecca. You know, so this way you go higher in the Senate. You go higher, closer to the Prophet ﷺ. So you skip Sabil. If Abdullah ibn Atta is still alive, why you worry about Sabil? Just go to him. Okay? So he got on his donkey, he packed his stuff, and he started marching toward Mecca. Where Abdullah ibn Atta lives. So he goes in and he goes to Abdullah ibn Atta. He tells him, did you hear this hadith from Uqba ibn Amir? He said no. Okay? He said, no, I didn't hear it. So he said, who did you hear it from? So now see how many people Sabi'i dropped to make his Senate high. Because they used to compete in getting the higher Senate. He said, I heard it from Sa'd ibn Ibrahim. Like, where is Sa'd ibn Ibrahim? In Medina. So it was season for Hajj. Okay? So Shu'bah said, I make Hajj, and maybe Sa'd ibn Ibrahim making Hajj as well. So he started looking, he found Malik, rahimahullah, Malik ibn Anas, Sahib al-Madhab. He went to him, he said, Sa'd ibn Ibrahim, where can I find him? He said, this year he didn't make Hajj. So he's still in Medina. So Shu'bah finished his Hajj, and he went to Medina. Now imagine, Basra, Mecca, back to Medina now. So he went to Sa'd ibn Ibrahim. He said, you heard this hadith from Uqba ibn Amir? He said, no. Who did you hear it from? He said, I heard it from Ziyad ibn Mikhrab. Okay? Where is Ziyad ibn Mikhrab? Where? لا. البصرة. البصرة. Back home. So he went all the way back. So of course at that moment he knew this hadith is not good. Because the hadith that starts Basra, then go to Mecca, then go to Medina, and now back to Basra, got issues. Because usually the ulama, when they give hadith, you find the chain will be people, most of the time, people from the same place. Because I'm a student, I go to my teacher in my hometown. Okay, yes, I'll travel to learn, but mainly I will be to the scholars in my hometown, and they have the same story. So you will find in the chain, if there are 10 people, 8 or 7 will be from the same city. So now you have a hadith, one is Meccan, one from Basra, and one from Medina. That's right away. So he goes to Ziyad ibn Mikhrab in Basra, and he asked him, who told you this hadith? And he tells him, yeah, get away, because you know that if I tell you who told me, for you he's weak. Yani Shahr ibn Hawshab, who was the one who Ziyad ibn Mikhrab reports from. And for Shu'bah, Shahr ibn Hawshab doesn't take his word. Okay? So he told him Shahr ibn Hawshab. So he goes to Shahr ibn Hawshab. Okay? Who told you this hadith? Now you see how many people still did not get to Uqba ibn Amir, the Sahabi. You see at Sabi'i how many people he dropped? He dropped Sa'd ibn Ibrahim, he dropped Ziyad ibn Mikhrab, he dropped Shahr ibn Hawshab. He goes to Shahr ibn Hawshab, he tells him, who told you this hadith? You heard it from Uqba ibn Amir? He said, no, I heard it from Abu Rayhan. And another 4th person dropped. Okay? You see why Sabi'i is mudallis? That's why Shu'bah used to say, كفيتكم تدليسا ثلاثة لا أعمش السبيعي الثالث نسيت. So he goes, Abu Rayhana, who did you hear from? Uqba ibn Amir. So the hadith obviously is weak. So at that moment Shu'bah ibn al-Hajjaj rahimahullah, he said, Wallahi, if this hadith was authentic, then it would have been more beloved to me than everything in this world. Because of the effort he made. You see, I made small calculations. I don't know if any heard it or read it on the website. I took a donkey, I searched the average speed of a donkey. Okay? And I measured the distance between Basra to Mecca to Medina back to Basra. And I saw, I calculated if Shu'bah got on top of his donkey and did not walk at all, and did not rest at all, just continuous walking, traveling on top of the donkey with his maximum speed. I think I put or average speed, but I think I put maximum speed because I think a donkey doesn't walk fast. Maybe 7 miles an hour. Okay. Anyway, it took 333 hours of continuous travel. You see, we travel overseas for 10 hours, 11, and we're 333 hours just traveling. That's if. And that's just mobile, moving, not resting. Just the time to do this trip. 333 hours. So the point is, of course, this hadith is authentic, but from different sin, from different narration. In Sahih Muslim, you find this hadith. But with this specific chain is weak. But why do I say this? Just to show you how much effort they made. How much they were willing to sacrifice for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For one hadith. Shaykh, for one hadith, you're going to go today. We have all the hadith in one game. All the hadith that been collected and known to mankind, to the Ummah of Islam, you find it on one CD. How many people read? How many of us look? How many books of hadith have you? Not necessarily 40 now. Forget about Bukhari. Forget about Bukhari. Alright? And Muslim. Forget about Sahih Muslim. يعني about 7,000 hadith in each one. Okay? Forget about it. Forget about Riyadh al-Salihin. Forget about Muwatta. Those are the famous hadith, books of hadith. Forget about Ibn Majah and Nasai and Abu Dawood and Tirmidhi. Forget about that. Okay? يعني in the last 2 weeks, we've been reading Tirmidhi 3 hours a night. Okay? 3 hours. And we're still not even halfway. Okay? All that, forget. 40 Nawawi. 40 Nawawi. Famous book. Of course, it's not book. I won't call it book. Pages. Small pages. How many hadith in 40 Nawawi? 40 Nawawi. How many hadith? How many hadith? 40? How many hadith? Sure?
42.
42. 42. You don't read. This 40 Nawawi, it has some weak hadith, but the meaning is correct. But the point is, it has the fundamentals of your deen. We don't read. You know how long it takes to read 40 Nawawi? Less than an hour. We don't make the effort. You see how far we are from those people? Wallah. Yet, we still think we're doing great. That's the problem. And if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed me to be standing here, okay? And I don't say out of humbleness, but maybe, and perhaps, and I'm sure I'm the worst of you, take what I say. If you think what I say makes sense, maybe it's not benefiting me, but it will benefit you. As a result, it will come back. Take it. Why we don't do it? Why we don't learn? Why we don't search? Why we don't try? What kind of life are we having? What is it we're living? Yes. At the end of the day, when you lay down in your bed, think. Do it tonight. If you take anything from tonight, forget about the story of Shurba. Okay? If you take anything from tonight, take this. Tonight, or from this lecture, take this. Tonight when you lay down on your bed, make wudu. As in the hadith of the Bara ibn Azib, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, إذا أوى أحدكم إلى فراشه فليتوضأ وضوءه للصلاة ثم لينم على شقه الأيمن وليأكل من الأرض. That's the problem. These are the basic things. If they want to be protected from, you lock your door, don't you? Do you lock your house door when you go to sleep? Sure. But the shaitan doesn't care if you got a lock or not, or alarm or not. So you don't want protection from that. You need to learn. Now I'm not trying to embarrass anyone. I didn't know. And when I came across it, I learned it. Maybe you never came across. Okay? But how much effort you're making to come across. Okay? Very important, brothers and sisters. That's how the change comes. You will never wake up one day and realize that everything's changed. It doesn't work that way. You have to make the effort. You have to work hard. You have to embarrass yourself. Two people never learn. Person who's always shy, because he will never ask. And mutakabbir, someone who's arrogant, will never ask. Oh, they're going to think I don't know. And the shy person, oh, I'm shy. Okay? Today you don't need to speak to people to ask. You can type and send. Okay? You can go and chat the right way with the right people. There are ulama on the internet today, walhamdulillah. Huh? Ulama, big ulama, now they'll sit behind, in front of the screen, and they just wait for your questions to answer. Free. You don't have to pay. Okay? You tell me which lawyer will give you free consultation, and which accountant will do that, and which doctor will do that. None. They don't do that. Including me. Alright? But with the ilm of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's free. But we don't even make that. We don't ask. We don't try to find out. How many hours you spend a day in front of on the internet? How many of us sit on the internet don't have a clue what they want to look for or look at? Seriously. Right? Happens to all of us. You sit in front of khalas, it becomes a routine. You sit in front of the internet, you just have no clue and no idea and no plan before what you're going to do. And you just Google. Now let me put my name and see if my picture comes up. Right? Or let me see how many hits come up with my name. Oh, I remember a friend in high school. Let me put it. That's what people do. And then a link after link after link. You realize 2 hours were wasted of your life will never ever come back. We have to plan. Okay? We have to make schedule. That is the key of the key success. Huh? Is to have a plan, to have a schedule. How I want to spend it. Okay? So one of the things I tell you, when you go tonight and lay down, and you make that dua, that I'm sure you still want to hear it. It's a little long, and even if I say it, you won't remember it. Okay? وجهت وجهي إليك وألجأت ظهري إليك لا ملجأ ولا منجأ منك إلا إليك آمنت بكتابك الذي أنزلت وبنبيك الذي أرسلت. Very important. Then you sit and you ask. Now Allah with you, inshallah. Now you followed the instruction of the Prophet. He said, make wudu, I made wudu. He said, lay down on your right side, I lay down on my side, right side. He said, make this dua, I just made this dua. Now what? You ask yourself, what did I do today? That if Allah would ask me on the day of judgment, on July 29, 2011, because you will be asked. You see, Ibn Basir was away from Allah. So one day, how did he repent? One day, when he reached 60, he calculated 60 times 300, what? 60 years. Every year, how many days? 360. Yeah, but lunar. Subtract 50. Usually if you're 50 solar, you're 52 lunar. Okay? 15 days ago. So he came up with 21,000 days. Hassan. 21,000 days. If I sin once a day, that's 21,000 sins. What's about 1,000 sins a day? He asked himself. So when the number was overwhelming him, he went unconscious and died. He dropped on the floor, unconscious. He couldn't take. You know, like when you're shocked, you're going to syncope, right? You lose. You lose your oxygen doesn't get to your brain anymore. You pass out. This guy passed out and didn't get up. That's how they held themselves accountable. So when you lay down in your bed today, or tonight, on July 29, 2011, Allah will ask me about this date. Or 28 Sha'ban. What did you do? How you know Allah will ask me about this? Because we have a hadith where the Prophet ﷺ said, لا تزول قدم عبد يوم القيامة حتى يسأل عن عمله. Two of those have to do with time, directly. The other two, indirectly. عن عمره فيما أفناه. About his life, how he spent it. July 29 is part of this life. وعن شبابه فيما أبلاه. شوف عمر. They'll be asked about his whole life, collectively in general. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will ask him specifically about his youth. Alhamdulillah. Someone will say, here, alhamdulillah, I'm out of that. I'm 40 now, I passed. That's question now. First of all, you had your youth already, if you think. But youth is the time when you are most active, when you are strong, when you can do things. And I don't think anyone here cannot do that. I think we, all of us, each one here in this room, can do something. So maybe July 29th will be part of your youth. What did you do for me on 29th of July, 2011? You ask yourself when you lay down, No one to bother you, No kids, Baba and Mama, and get me this. Yani the other day, I'm driving and my daughter with me. Seriously, I stopped at the light. She called me 27 times. Bob, 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 Fadi, Fadi. 27 times. I decided not to answer to see how many times she's gonna say. 27 times waiting for the light. So all that is off, You're laying down now, everyone is asleep. What did I do? What did I do today that will benefit me? When Allah asks me. What did I do so I can answer? Because you will be asked about it. Prophet ﷺ said, if you have nothing to say, you lost. So you better make sure tomorrow won't be like today. And I will recommend that let's make this tomorrow night. Because you might be satisfied with Jum'ah and lecture. Oh, pray Jum'ah. Lecture. I hanged out with the brother for the sake of Allah. All Muslims made Jum'ah. All these people here in this room came to the lecture. What special you did? You have to be special. You see, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, going back to the issue of Ramadan, made Ramadan obligatory, so we don't have to fast, part of it, We don't have to fast like the Jews and the Christians. When we were fasting like them in Ashura, Allah doesn't want us to be like them. Allah wants us to have our own way. When we were praying toward Jerusalem, Allah doesn't want us to pray in the same direction they pray. So He said, pray toward Mecca. Turn your back to there. That's not to disrespect Bayt al-Maqdis. Still one of the 3 greatest masajid in Islam. We ask Allah to free and to return it to the land of Islam, and it's coming soon, inshallah. But the point is, inshallah, هذه يعني تحقيقا لا تعليق. It's not inshallah, يعني, if God willing. لا, everything God's willing. But when we say it's coming back, inshallah, because we know it's coming back, because we are promised it's going to come back. Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah, when they were facing the Tatar, they were fighting the Muslims, he said, today we will be victorious. Today we will defeat them. They told him, say inshallah. He said, today we will defeat them. Why did he say that? Because he knows, rahimahullah, Shaykh al-Islam, he knows once you fulfill the orders of Allah, Allah will give you victory. Once you take with the means and the asbab that Allah ordered you to do, you will get victory. So he said, we will defeat them today. Because we are fighting with Allah and His Messenger and with the Quran and the Sunnah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Because we have returned to Allah and His Deen. That's why He's going to give us victory, because He promised us, in tansurullah yansurkum, and the Prophet promised us, ihfadillah yahfad. So they told him, say inshallah. He said, inshallah, tahqiqan la ta'liq. تعليق ايش يعني؟ يعني إن شاء الله, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. Allah didn't will. That's the case with everything. But I know that the Prophet ﷺ promised us that Jerusalem and Al-Quds and Palestine will be in the hands of the Jews. But then, when we return to our deen, it will come back. So when I say it will come back, تحقيقا لا تعليقا إن شاء الله. That's how it is. When I say Allah gives victory to the believers, I don't have to say inshallah. Because this is a fact. They are believers. When they are believers following what Allah ordered them to follow, Allah will give them victory because He promised them. You understand? You hear someone says, I will die inshallah. If Allah wills, I'll die. If Allah... إِنَّكَ مَيِّتٌ وَإِنَّهُ مَيِّتٌ. It's a fact that everyone gonna die. So saying inshallah, okay, very important. That's like it is. So you see, Allah didn't want us to fast like them. He said Ramadan. He didn't want us to pray in the same direction they pray, because our way is different than their way. And subhanallah, لعل في حكمة يعني في تغيير القبلة 180 degrees. يعني you do not join them in any. In your way to Allah, you don't share with them anymore. Changing the Qibla is an answer to those who call for interfaith dialogue and let's go sit together and let's do. Change the Qibla is يعني nullify all your manhaj and all your attitude. Different. We have to be different. Now that doesn't mean we cannot live with them, we cannot coexist, we cannot tolerate. No. We are the most tolerable people, and I say it from here. We are the people who respect other human beings more than any other human beings respect us. Now pay attention, I didn't say respect their faith. I said human beings. Okay? Because you believe in Allah, when you cannot say I respect Christianity. I don't. How can you respect something against your belief? You're lying now. Or your faith isn't that strong. I accept you to live with you in peace, and no civilization has provided the others with better and more dignity and better lifestyle than the civilization of Islam provided for the non-Muslims. And I can prove this point. And I can challenge this point. The Jews never lived in a better conditions than when they lived with the Muslims, under the Muslims. written by a Jewish professor in Hebrew University. He said the Jews never lived in better, never had better, the Muslims and Jews never had better symbiosis, and this is exactly his words, than when the Jews lived in Muslim Spain. You know what symbiosis means? To coexist. And you know who were the leaders and who was in charge in Muslim Spain? Muslims. He said, this is a Jew. وَالشَّاهِدُ مَا شَهِدَتْ بِهِ بَعْدَهَا. He said the Jews never had better life than when they lived under the umbrella of Islam. Talk about that. Instead of being on the defense. Instead of looking weak when they come to talk to you about your religion. Be proud. Say I'm Muslim. Say I'm Muslim. My name is Muhammad, and my name is Ali, and my name is Ibrahim. And I say La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. Dress like a Muslim. You know, we say the kuffar don't know about us and they discriminate about us. If we are hiding in their clothes, how are they going to know about us? Seriously. You go to a supermarket, dress like a Muslim. What you gonna do? What they gonna do? You gonna hear something? وَلَا تَسْمَعُنَّ مِنَ الَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْكِتَابَ أَذًا كَثِيرًا. Let them say. You will never know who's gonna approach you, and you're gonna tell him a word, he will be guided. You never know. A guy in Philadelphia came to the masjid, a Jewish guy, with his wife and 3 kids, and they all embraced Islam. I asked him why. He said, I was passing by your place and I heard the adhan. He didn't know what it was, but he said it moved something in me. You don't know. You dress like them, what they gonna think? Seriously, with all due respect. You got a beard, you're wearing pants and all that. I don't think they're gonna think you're Muslim. You can pass for many things. But they see you with the thought. Now I don't say put yourself at risk. But what I'm saying is, if we're gonna always complain, they discriminate against us and this and that, but we're not exposing ourselves to them, so their eyes and their minds can get used to it. That's why when I go to Publix, which I hardly go, but when I go and wearing this, people look at me. But do I care? I don't care. But if you and him and me and every time we go into this place wearing like this, it's gonna become a habit. They don't look, I lived in Philadelphia 4 years. When I used to walk like this in the supermarket, they didn't look at me at anything. Because they see it everywhere. And that's how the human mind works. When you see the same thing over and over, you get habituated, you get accustomed to it. So why we blame them for everything if we're not doing our job? So we have to be different. You have to make this Ramadan different. And I gave you the many reasons why you have to make it different. Make it different. And let's not be amongst those who are going to say at the end of Ramadan, Udran Ramadan. We apologize. Don't let it like that. Don't waste it. At night you lay down in your bed and you ask yourself, what have I done in today or in this week or this past month for Allah? For Allah. If you cannot continue riding without stopping, you haven't done anything. And we are all that person. I'm not trying to discourage you. But the day you feel that you should, I'm doing something, the day is when you start riding what you've done for Allah, and you can't stop riding. That's the day you know, I'm getting there. But if you have to sit there and think, what did I prayed 5 times today. It's for yourself, the salah. You didn't pray. It's not what it's going to do for Allah. Okay? Very important. Be fair, be just, don't cheat. Don't cheat. Because you're only cheating yourself. And have a schedule. You know how we're rushing to have scheduled Ramadan schedule? And what we look at. What's the very first thing you look at when you look at Ramadan schedule? Time of Iftar. But how you look at it? You look at the first day or the last day?
27.
You always go down. And your heart is going so fast as the minutes go up. But once they start dropping, alhamdulillah, now After 16 Ramadan, it starts decreasing, right? That's how we look at it. Now we're so concerned about the schedule, the time of the iftar, you cannot break fast before the time. So it doesn't matter what the time on that paper, you have to wait. Okay? So let's worry about different schedule. Let's worry about a schedule. Let's each one of us put a schedule, and I'm serious about it. Huh? Put a schedule. What is it you want to achieve in Ramadan? That's how. If you're gonna go into Ramadan, ma'alish, I'm gonna take 5 minutes extra. Please, brother Imran, because you won't see me for a month. All right? So it's my vacation. We go into Ramadan and say, I'm going to finish reciting the Quran, the whole thing this year, this Ramadan. How many of us every year say that? And how many of us fail? And reading the whole Mus'haf is so simple. Okay? So simple. And we did the breakdown the other day. And very quick, the Juzuk, the whole chapter is 20 pages. Okay? 20 pages. 30 chapters. Okay? You pray 5 times a day. After each salah, so you need 20 pages a day. After each salah, read 4 pages. 4 pages. How long it takes to read 4 pages? Nothing. Brother, when I pray Asr and Dhuhr, I'm at work. You got Fajr. So make up that 4 pages at Fajr time. And make the other 4 pages at Maghrib time. And one of the major advices I gave yesterday was you don't need to make iftar all the way from Maghrib to Isha. You don't need all that time for iftar. Okay? Salah and iftar should not be more than 30 to 35 minutes. And we have Maghrib comes in. You pray Maghrib at 8:20. Let's say that you're gonna snack before that, 8:25. 8:35 you're done with your sunnah. Serve the food. 9 o'clock, 9:15, 9:20 you should be done. And what time you gonna pray Tarawih? You start Isha. 9:40, 9:30, 9:30. You got 10 minutes. Of course, now I gave you more than 35, but not 10 minutes. Takes 1 minute to read a page in Arabic. 1 minute. In 10 minutes you read 10 pages. So now you're not finishing the Quran once you get twice. Because now you're adding, or 1.5, because you're adding another 10 pages. Let's take advantage. That's how you think. That's how, if you want to take the best or make the best out of this. And also, one of the issues that we need to be concerned about is wasting the food and cleansing and taking care of our places in the masjid at the time of iftar. Okay? At the time of iftar. And inshallah, Brother Imran can talk about it more, and they can talk about it during the month. Let's not waste. You want to eat? Don't eat much. Your plate doesn't have to look like Jabal Uhud. Okay? Doesn't have to look like the mountain of Uhud. Alright? Wallahi, I noticed if the plate is full, or half full, or quarter full, once you finish it, you're full. I noticed that. Okay? If it's too much, you're going to say, I have to finish. The sunnah. Now, who told you the sunnah? Who told you the sunnah that you have to eat over and the food going to start gushing out? Who told you that's the sunnah? Okay? So it's very important. Don't put too much food. Take as much as you think you need, but not to feed the whole tribe. Okay? And that's how you don't waste and you don't throw and you leave some, because we hear all the time, oh, there wasn't enough food. Why there wasn't enough food? طعام الواحد يكفي لاثنين وطعام الاثنين يكفي لأربعة وطعام الأربعة يكفي لثمان. That's what the process is. The food of one enough for two, and the food of two enough for four. I recommend to make it to look 200 people tonight, only dispense 100 plates. So each two will eat from the same plate. But don't you think if you eat with the same guy for 30 days from the same plate, don't you think there will be a bond at the end of Ramadan? That's just a thought. You don't have to do it. Okay? But serious. There is barakah. More people eating from the same plate, there is barakah. Okay? Very important. And you learn how وَيُؤْثِرُونَ عَلَى أَنفُسِهِمْ وَلَوْ كَانَ بِهِمْ خَصَاصَةٌ. You learn from sitting and eating from the same plate, if there's a piece of meat, you find somehow at the end there's only a piece of meat. Eat it. No, you eat it. Yani, my brother's in Jordan, Hussam, is going to, there's a conference for Sahih Muslim, and he tells me one of the shuyukh, his son serves dates in the morning. So he said, he came to me, and his son is 6 years old. So he came to me to serve me. So I told him, you take first. That's my brother telling the kid, you take first. So the kid looks at him, he said, no, I'm afraid I'm going to take one that your eye dropped on it already. Like you're desiring, I'm afraid. Huh? That's why Fudail he used not to eat with his mother. Okay? And when he was asked about that, he said, I'm afraid that my hand will extend to something that you're looking at. SubhanAllah, al-adab. So you learn how al-ithar and how to put others before you, and the preference and the ithar. That is akhlaq. So let's try to do that. Huh? Team up. Let's go. Team up. You know? Team up. Pick someone and tell them, I'm going to eat with you. I love you for Allah, and we're going to sit and eat together every Ramadan from the same plate. Okay? From the same plate. You have your own spoon and he has his own spoon. Okay? You can make a river between. But eat from the same plate. يلا إن شاء الله be creative. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد. كل عام وأنتم بخير. نسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى to give us the best out of this Ramadan. السلام عليكم.